You're currently in the most bizarre and difficult reality that anyone has ever witnessed in decades or even centuries. It's perfectly okay for you to be overwhelmed by everything that's happening outside and inside of you. It takes a lot of effort to educate yourself and to build a life that belongs to you both physically and emotionally, because what you come with to this life is simply a lottery, and it takes a lot of wisdom to understand the nature of your journey through this existence. I often find myself at a point where it feels like I'm getting to the limits of my resilience to this life and this reality. Luckily, during many of my psychedelic trips, I gained insight into the truth about what the limits are and what we're doing wrong that we end up there. I want to talk to you about what it takes to handle those difficult moments when it feels like you can't take it anymore, and how to never let yourself be in that state again. Human life is in reality made of a well-balanced mixture of personal and environmental factors that all need to work well together. There are many reasons why this carefully tuned system can easily get distorted. Those of you who have ever tried psychedelics know how delicate this equilibrium is. In order to find a method to help yourself, first you need to know which areas of your life are distorted and which can quickly get you to a tipping point. This video is to help you identify all of them and to apply the right solution. People who watch 434 videos usually consist of misunderstood and rejected elements of society, and most of us are alienated and traumatized very early in our lives by trying to fit in. This is not a good place to be in now, so you need to watch this video carefully. If it helps you, sponsor 434 by joining Patreon or Subscribestar, or by donating cash or crypto. All methods listed on the screen and in the video description. Thank you for your help. If you've been watching 434 videos here and on the peterhedron channel, you'll remember that I made a few videos where I explain how your life technically doesn't belong to you. How you're born with a predetermined set of personality traits in a seemingly random environment, and how, in a physical sense, you have no control over any of it. It appears that you get to choose your journey metaphysically, but you come here with no memory of making that choice, and that's what makes it very difficult to handle and understand. If you arrive in this reality with an increased emotional capacity, and if you feel more than other people, you'll quickly realize that your empathy and sensitivity will drain your energy much quicker than in the case of regular people. Those who we call empaths usually undergo at least 2 awakening processes. One where you realize how much more emotional and aware you are, and then how much less sensitive everybody else is, and what consequences it has on the world they will make you live in. I always refer to the same scene in the movie Fifth Element, where Lilu gets to the letter W, reading about the history of humankind. I went through this process many times, and one of the most recent disturbing revelations was when I recorded an interview with my grandmother, who as a little girl went through 4 concentration camps. The stories she told me paint a picture of this reality that is too much to take for anyone with the ability to imagine the extent of human suffering. Of course, this is not only limited to humans, and anyone here who decided to be a vegetarian or a vegan knows exactly the personal reasons why they don't want to eat meat. While in the case of nutrition, we do have impact on minimizing the suffering of animals with our culinary choices, we have very little impact on the complicated political and financial systems we all live in that cause endless suffering in the human world. That's something that I find very difficult to accept, and I got to a point where I realized that I have to consciously avoid news and certain type of information to stay sane and to shield myself from the awareness of the dark side of human nature, as it can be too much for my sensitivity threshold. If you're lucky enough to be born intelligent and logical, you'll be able to educate yourself in a way that will let you understand the truth about life and human reality. Although it seems like a blessing, the reality of having this gift is that you'll quickly find yourself living in society made of people without these abilities, which means that on a daily basis you will witness the low quality of social structures where everyone is subscribing to lies and is controlled by external forces. As a result of this, you will live a quality of life which will be defined by its weakest denominator, and by that I mean the least intelligent member of your family, friend circle, your co-workers, or any group you'll be a part of. Constantly having to lower your intellectual or educational level to somebody's lack of understanding has a very detrimental effect on your psyche, where you will get to a point where you feel like you're suffocating mentally. This will result in elevated levels of stress, anger, anxiety, and pain. Too much stress or anger will exclude you from any social interaction and will inhibit your ability to act. And too much anxiety will eventually result in mental and physical instability. One of the areas where many of us fail is the inability to deal with being human as we're going through this material experience. This can happen on both the physical and metaphysical level. For some of us, the sensations related to our physical form feel very alien and unnatural, and any bodily problems can translate into a very unpleasant existence, eventually leading to a state where you no longer enjoy being a human. One of those things is sensory overload, where you cannot handle all the external stimuli generated by modern life. It's not difficult to feel like your existence is too much if you live in the middle of a noisy and brightly lit city. It is not the natural environment for any living organism. It's not like our homes are any better now, with all of us being constantly surrounded by screens and their colorful, invasive brightness. I recently diagnosed myself with LED light exposure-related sleeping problems, and I realized that the only cure is staying away from the screens. Guess what? It turns out I cannot be away from screens because that's how I make a living, and that's where all of my life is now. Even if you don't realize that what you're going through is too much, your body will tell you that it's too much. Many of us additionally deal with the same issue on the metaphysical level, where we have the awareness of our spiritual nature and our mission in this reality, but still we feel overwhelmed by the gravity of our journey. I do have all the answers as to what my role here is, but it doesn't really make it any less difficult in terms of executing this plan. I do understand that it's all about learning and hard work, but often it gets too much, and in my discussions with the psychedelic entities, I repeatedly say that I need a break from dealing with life. If you think about it, your only time off from experiencing human awareness is when you go to sleep, and even then you dream or get nightmares. It's on 24 hours a day, and we're talking about living in human body in a normal state. What about going through this reality with one of those physical distortions like food allergies, increased sexual drive, or any form of disability? It is not easy to be human for some of us. But probably the biggest difficulty of this work here is living among people and dealing with society. This is by far the most energy-consuming challenge we have to go through, and it's because your job is to learn how to function in a social environment. It's very easy to get to the point where it's simply too complicated to navigate the endless ocean of human intrigues, bizarre irrational behavior, and constant emotional surprises and disappointments. It's also not easy to handle constant rejection and resulting loneliness, both in the physical and emotional sense. Very often this might lead to an increased sense of guilt, self-loathing, or even self-hate, where we feel like it's too much to be punished by our innate inability to function as a well-working element of a given social structure. But your life can become too much even without all of those problems listed above. All it takes for your life to get out of control is for you to be born without the ability to be well-organized or being decisive. A simple shortage in a few basic personality traits can put you in a place where everything will feel like it's all too chaotic and beyond your control. I'm sure that most of us have been through these moments where we feel like all of this is beyond our ability to handle, and it's very important to know where your limits are. Every time you experience any form of rage, depression, apathy, resignation, indifference, or any signs of physical or mental instability, this is when you need to know that you're slowly getting to your limits of recovering from a crisis situation. Of course, the most obvious sign that you cannot handle your current mindset anymore is a panic attack. That's when you know it's time to act. It's not always just one of those resilience undermining factors. There can be a number of them in your life, and the situation we're all in at the moment is definitely an amplifier of whatever's going on with you and what you're struggling with. The very core of who you are as a human is attacked on all possible fronts. So let's move on to the methods of fixing this. The feeling that it's all too much is temporary, and the solutions to this problem are very simple. You need to start from identifying what is going on inside of you, and you can do this with meditation. The moment you clear your mind, you will start to observe thoughts and emotions that try to invade this empty space. If you do this exercise for some time, you'll start realizing that whatever comes up to the surface of your consciousness, that's the root of your resilience problem. As far as the basic physical conditions go that you need to take care of to not let yourself fall into this out of control state, as with everything else related to your physical and mental health, It's all about building stress resilience and removing the factors that might amplify your condition. Optimism and higher vibrational frequency is the key, as they strongly impact your mental endurance. If you see yourself in a more positive way than others see you, you'll have lower stress response and you'll recover from stress faster. In this case, resilience is simply built by adding to your lifestyle exercise, social connection, positive mind, and breathing techniques, while removing caffeine, sugar, alcohol, and sleeplessness. These are the basics without which it is difficult to stay strong. Every time I feel like I'm getting to a point where it's starting to be too much, I take mushrooms, and this is how I'm saved by them. It all starts on the most basic physical and neurological level. Mushrooms remove the buildup of stress hormones or whatever is happening inside of my brain that I have no control over. The tension and frustration disappear immediately. Then comes the shift in consciousness, as I'm being recharged with an awareness reminder about what this reality is. Mushrooms open the door that lead outside of our human container. They remind me that we live in a tiny human compartment, and they let me out of it for me to see the big picture. You see, it feels too much only when you look at this existence from a human perspective. As soon as you regain access to the outer dimensional awareness, you're reminded that you are free to step outside of this limited human space anytime you want. There are many methods to do this, but the fastest way is through psychedelic mind enhancement. Whatever situation you're in, when it feels like you're running in circles and you can feel that it's too much, it is because we don't have access to, or we forget about, the big picture. And the big picture, the truth about our reality, is this. The core of your existence is metaphysical. Your true form is energy. It's not your body, and the lack of resistance to the outside stimuli is your body's response, not your response. Your energy form is an integral part of a profound, important existence, and your life is a tiny element of a long journey through an endless reality. This is the problem of human time perspective. What you're feeling now might appear to be made of giant emotional ups and downs, but in reality, these are tiny blips invisible from your life's chart perspective. In fact, your life is a blip on your energy form's existence chart. It's possible that you've been through wars many times before and you're still here. And that's why you need to remember that this life should be enjoyable. You should be taking part in this physical reality where you can experience so many sensations and where you can go through so many lessons. Remember that your life is not this body. You're a powerful entity that came here to take part in a dense energy existence so that you can train yourself to become much more spiritually advanced. Being scared is a disgrace to your true form. Anxiety is usually a much more intense sensation than going through that which we actually fear. Love inside and outside is the answer to everything. It is the true fabric of this reality, and it's what you need to be a part of. As soon as you gain psychedelic insight into your existence, you realize that things have a way of working out, and that all of this, whatever you feel like you're suffering from now, will be of importance one day, and you will understand the purpose of this lesson. You'll also be allowed to look at your pain as a distorted element from your comfort zone's perspective. In reality, you're much stronger than you think. You're locked up in this human echo chamber of earthly problems, and it's very easy to objectively detach yourself from an emotional evaluation of your condition. It's difficult to understand that things that are out of your control are actually the positive aspects of your life, because if it's not in your control, there's no reason for you to engage in it emotionally. When it feels like it's too much because you feel more than everybody else, that's a good thing. That's a guarantee for a much richer existence. If you know so much that you feel like being an outcast, that means that your job is to be a leader and a teacher. And if you feel like living in society is too much, that means there's still a lot of lessons ahead of you, which will lead you to a very important place. These lessons will be of monumental significance to whatever your purpose here is. The overwhelming sense of struggle is a signal that you're going in the wrong direction. It's a road sign that is supposed to take you back onto your path. Keep in mind that the distribution of your emotions in this reality is very well balanced, but because negative sensations are much more difficult to handle, it creates an illusion of constant struggle. In reality, you get the same amount of happiness and difficulties. Of course, no one complains about being happy too much. I'm aware that in our current situation, words might not be enough to offer all the help you need, but it's a good start. Sometimes all you need is a break to get away from your environment, and it's important to give yourself a few days to reset the system. As much as you need a physical distance from your everyday life, in the same way you need mental separation from your everyday mindset. Psychedelics offer the energy and resilience necessary to go through this life while strengthening your defense mechanisms. Remember that every time it gets too much, there's always meditation and there are always 434 videos. It seems like we have all been recently assigned an important set of new tasks to accomplish in this reality, and you need the strength to complete them successfully. Remember that weakness of attitude eventually becomes weakness of character. Only few of us are strong enough to deal with all life's burdens on our own without metaphysical help, so make sure you rest before you get tired. Love, 434. I hope knowing all of this will not let you end up in a situation where it is all too much again. Take care of yourself, and if you want to say thank you for this video, finance 434 through methods listed on the screen and in the video description. Thank you. Subscribe, like, and share this video. Visit the websites of the artist and the musician I featured in this video. Leave your email address at news.b434.com. Remember about b434.com and join 434 social media on YouTube, Facebook, BitChute, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and VK. Talk to each other on Telegram, Reddit, and Discord. All links below.